I don't agree with putting a man first, because when he leave you, then what? What you gonna have? What you gonna have? If you put your all into a man will leave you with shit. I mean shit in the bag. I mean like your stuff in the bag, and you on your way. He already got the next girl in the house. Like I don't play those type of games.
Okay, in the current environment of what happens to men in courtrooms, you'd have pretty much everything.
But the man gotta want to marry you. These men ain't getting married.
So that's it. You're talking about. So you're basically saying, like, you could potentially be with a person that doesn't want to marry you, but you should just never be with a person that doesn't want to marry you, was what I would say. Like, if you're talking to a guy and he never wants to marry you, then that's a really...
That's why I ended my last relationship. I felt like we were together for too long, and I asked him, like, hey, do you foresee us getting married? Do you see us continuing on? And he was like, no.
Rolling by trike. Here we go. Hey. What is up, YouTube fam? It is your boy, Richie Rich, with another video after joining Fresh and Fit in the group of women that they were hosting on that particular day. In this video, I'm not going to say a lot because Candace Owens speaks softly but carries a big stick. So make sure you like and subscribe to this video, hit that notification button, and without any further ado, let's get into this video and check out this clip.
I am so excited to share the news with you. I conducted my first hoe clinic. You guys know this has been my goal in life. It's why I work, because I want to be able to dedicate time to exploring the hoedom, bringing these ladies in, transforming their lives. I want to move away from the era of the booty cheeks on Instagram. Well, I did it. I sat down with some hoes and I changed their lives. And I want to say no one believed in me, but you guys did. And now I kind of feel like I'm ready to retire. So I was invited for a long time, actually. I just could not make time for it. Onto a podcast known as Fresh and Fit. This was, let me just be clear, a house filled with hoes. So this was unique. I thought to myself, this really is what I want to do in life. Like, I want to be a person that's sitting in a circle with a bunch of women who are hoes and give them advice. I do. This is actually perfect. And I was very struck by the fact that, well, not really struck, it makes sense, the majority of these girls, all of them, actually did not grow up with a father in the home. It's, of course, makes sense why they don't like men and why they have turned to these sorts of careers. But there was one girl that really stood out to me, and her name was Kayla, and she shared her story, and her story was very sad. Take a listen.
You mean like hookup culture?
Right.
Yeah, like hooking up with a lot of guys.
Like when Tinder first came out, I think I was like 16 years old, trying to find a boyfriend.
On Tinder?
Yeah, I grew up in a very small town in Michigan.
Whatever happened to high school?
Like I said, I grew up in a very small town.
Okay.
And did you think like having sex with them would bring you a relationship sort of a thing?
I just thought that's like what you did, like if you wanted to be in a relationship with somebody.
I don't think that's, when you're 16, your brain's not developed. And I think a lot of young women think that when they're young. And so I totally get that, especially with culture telling you all the time that it's like, do this, and maybe he'll want you. When did you have how old were you when you had a child?
I had her when I was 20.
Okay, so quite young.
Yeah.
And was that a long-term relationship leading up to it, or?
So I met him when I was a stripper. So he met me at the strip club when I was like just getting off drugs, and so I was like looking for a way out. I was staying in like a drug house and everything.
Yeah. What drugs? What drug were you addicted to?
Cocaine.
Okay.
So, and he was a pimp. I like found out after like he took me out to eat or whatever that he was a pimp. So I stuck with him for a couple of weeks, like staying in a hotel, and then like I got put on probation. So like he was still the only person like paying for my phone bill and stuff like that. So I just stuck with him, and then like later on he just told me like he loved me and he wanted me to be his girlfriend. So I was just like, okay. And this was when I was 19. So.
Yeah, so you were very young. Did you grow up with a dad in your house?
My dad died when I was 11.
Okay, that's very.
So one of the first things you notice with this video is Candace Owens says a lot of the same stuff. She asks a lot of the same questions that other podcasters ask, but she just does it in a very different way, a very soft way that appeals to women, that allows women to open up and say how they think and say how they feel. Also, something I noticed in this video, this is the quietest and the politest I've ever seen Myron Gaines. And I'm not criticizing at all. I'm just saying that I like their show. But there is another way to accomplish what you want to accomplish without yelling, screaming, calling people bitches, hoes, stupid, dumb, and all that stuff. I agree with almost everything they say, just not necessarily how they say it. But let's continue with this Candace Owens interview and see what she has to say to these young ladies. Let's keep it going.
Interesting.
This is sad.
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, no, it's, I mean, there's a very clear pipeline that happens, and I think it's actually really great that you're sharing it because, you know, the worst thing is when people pretend this is like an amazing lifestyle and it's like I had every option available to me.
I don't condone like girls doing OnlyFans or anything. Like I do it, but like I just do it because it allows, and it also allows me to be like a full-time. I am a single mom. No child support, no benefits, nothing like that. And like it allowed me to stop prostituting because like obviously I was like a prostitute. So
I'm really grateful that you shared that. I think it takes a lot to talk about that. Like
no, for sure. And this is why I like to come on like shows and stuff to spread like what I've been through.
I also want to be clear that Kayla shared that she had been sober from drinking and abusing any drugs for 3 years, which I thought was amazing. And I really encouraged her in that direction because she needs to hear that she's doing well. She is doing well. She's taking steps to make her life better, at least. While I very much completely know what it must feel like to be broke all the time, especially in today's economy. It sucked when I was broke growing up. That they're in the fast lane, but the fast lane ends very quickly, which is to say that everything seems amazing and fast and like so much money when you're young. Then what happens, of course, is they're going to get older. And then what you're going to have is younger OnlyFans model that are making more money. And of course, men are not going to want to date women that have that sort of a resume, which is the point that Fresh and Fit make to these young ladies. But it's something that I think that the young women don't think about when they're trying to emulate and be someone like a Kim Kardashian or a Kylie Jenner, is they think that they can just stop that sort of a career path whenever they want. And every other man is going to be available to them, where that's just not true, of course.
And she makes such a good point. The whole OnlyFans thing, the whole porn thing, the sex work thing, it's short-sighted. And I understand for those who need money, you're broke, you're down, you're broke. I do get that. I do really understand that. But you do have to understand that you are sacrificing your future for now, for a few years, for short years, because understanding men, you're going to get old. What you're showing is going to get old. It's going to get old. And there's always a new 18-year-old coming into the game. Someone who's younger, fresher, who men want to see. It is what it is, and it's not going to change. So what you're making now, or what you might make now, there's a lot of OnlyFans girls who don't make much money at all. But what you're making now, you're not going to make forever. In fact, there's a very short window. And after that window is closed, then what are you going to do? Your chances of getting a quality man are greatly diminished, because a quality man isn't going to want to date someone that is carrying the baggage you're carrying, especially even if you're adding a child to it, adding former sex worker to it. He's just not going to want to do that. So it's important for you young ladies to understand that. We'll keep it moving.
One thing that I was able to share with them, and this particular clip went viral, and so I want to share it again. This is a 100% true story. Me and a person who was my best friend, one of my best friends in high school, were back from college. I think it was just the first semester. We decided to go out in New York City, and we landed at a bar, and it was just a total chance thing. But an artist named Wyclef Jean was performing. You might be familiar with him. And it's really interesting because she was a very innocent girl, very sweet. He offered us an opportunity to go on a couple of tour stops with him, and we went. And she changed. She changed instantly on this tour stops. It was very obvious that she was suggesting to him that he could sleep with her, despite the fact, and I will stand by this, that he did not put any pressure on either of us to do that whatsoever. And it changed her life. That moment changed her life. She ended up dropping out of the school that she was in and sort of pursuing this, if you want to call it, limelight, this sort of quick money. The following year, I visited her. She had moved to Miami. She was living in a massive apartment. It was 2-bedroom, 2 bathrooms. I mean, what were we, 20 years old? And I was so broke. I remember visiting her on that spring break. I was so broke. Now she's not in school. She's got every rapper that is texting her. She's hanging out with them. She's dating some of them. She's sleeping with tons of them. And I just remember leaving her in Miami, didn't recognize who my friend was, and calling another friend of mine named Devin, and I remember crying because I could not even afford to put gas in my car.
I bet you there wasn't no texting going on in the daytime. I bet most of it was going on after midnight. So I mean, it's what it is. That's the game, and it's a short game. It's a really short game, especially for the women, because them looks ain't gonna stay there forever, and there are always younger, fresher looking women who are just as beautiful, if not more beautiful than you are. You ain't gonna stay in it forever. In fact, you're gonna stay in it for a very short time. Period.
Years later, I must have been 25 years old. I was working in private equity, and no joke, the person that ran the firm had a massive wedding, and he invited Wyclef Jean to perform. And I hadn't seen him since I was 19, 20 years old, chose a different life for myself, and here I was working on this massive wedding. I'll never forget, after he came and took the meeting with the execs, he and I took an elevator downstairs together, and he looked at me and he said, you know, I'm really proud of you. I'm really proud of you and what you did in your life. And I knew what he meant. I knew that he meant that he was proud of me because I didn't sell myself to artists, even when I had the opportunity to. And then beyond that, fast forward to, I don't know, was I about 30 years old? It was a couple of years after that. I can't remember the timeline, but I was working with Charlie Kirk at Turning Point USA. And I am not kidding. This is a true story. You can ask Charlie Kirk. We walked into the Four Seasons in Los Angeles, and working at the front desk was my former friend. She got older, not as interesting to those rappers. She chose the fast life, but it didn't get her anywhere in the long run. You know, it was fast, quick, and then it was over.
Fast, quick, and over. Just like that. And you're working at the Four Seasons, you're at the front desk greeting people at the Four Seasons, because it don't last forever. It doesn't. And I do get that people need money. I do get that people are broke. I get that this is a short economy, but there is no substitute, and I do mean no substitute, for hard work. None.
Do you believe someone can truly change once they find God or religion, even if they have a promiscuous past? Alexis?
Yes, I actually was thinking about that. Can you remind me of your name?
Enola Blaze.
Nola?
Enola Blaze. My real name's Kayla.
Kayla.
Yes.
So I was thinking about that with Kayla because I had a former porn star on my show, and you should definitely watch that episode. And she transformed her life. She has kids. She's married, and she just came to her faith. And it was a really interesting conversation to talk about, you know, the industry, same thing, drug addiction, everything. And then she just gave up her life to God. And, you know, met somebody at church who just wanted to know more about her. She was very open about, you know, her life and where she came from. And now she has like 3 kids, you know.
Damn.
She's been married to him for years, and what brought them together was faith. And I think that it is such a strong tenet, and people turn away from it so much. But what God can do in your life when you give up your life to God, I've seen it happen. If you want to see a miracle, turn to faith.
Wow.
And I want that for you, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to pray for you, Kayla.
Thank you.
She was so happy. The girls were so happy. It ended on such a wonderful, beautiful note. And I really do want to encourage people to watch that episode. I want young women especially to watch that episode and to know the glamour and the gloss of social media, letting you know all the times that it could be so much easier. Even if you sold your soul to the devil, you don't have to do that. You really do not have to do that. There is another option, and that option is hard work. And by the way, if you already are selling yourself, at any moment you can stop. And you could turn to something else, something that is much more fulfilling.
So that's Candace Owens' take on the Daily Wire after doing the Fresh and Fit show. Let's go back to the Fresh and Fit show and catch a couple of clips from the show that I thought were profound and really telling. So let's go ahead and get this.
The way that I was raised, I kind of tell a man, like, I don't need you, but I'm not saying in a sense of, like, you're not shit, basically.
Okay.
Like, I'm just saying, like, I have my own if you decide to leave tomorrow.
Which is, I actually wanted to cut to her because you kind of gave a little face when she said, like, she puts her man first.
Yes, I
So-
don't agree with that.
You don't agree that you made a face?
No, I don't agree with putting a
Oh, you
man
don't agree with
first, no.
putting a man first. Okay, so can you elaborate?
Yes, I don't agree with putting a man first, because when he leave you, then what? What you gonna have? What you gonna have? If you put your all into a man will leave you with shit and bricks. Can I say shit? I'm sorry.
No, you good.
A man will leave you with nothing but shit and a bag. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta have your own everything. So why would I put a man first?
Sorry, when you say
this is my
sorry,
life?
I'm so not cool. When you say shit, when you say shit and a bag,
Yeah.
could you just slow that down for me? I promise you, I am so not hip.
When I mean shit in the bag, I mean like your stuff in the bag and you on your way. He already got the next girl in the house. Like, I don't
exactly.
play those type of games.
Okay, so you guys are specifically talking about, so you're assuming people just don't get married because obviously the court systems favor women. Actually, women will get everything if a guy gets up and leaves.
Saying, okay,
so I heard somebody else say like, oh, like the house and blah, blah, and then you'll have nothing. I'm like, actually,
but
in the current environment of what happens to men in courtrooms, you'd have pretty much everything.
But the man got to want to marry you. These men ain't getting married.
So that's it. You're talking about, so you're basically saying, like, you could potentially be with a person that doesn't want to marry you, but you should just never be with a person that doesn't want to marry you, was what I would say. Like,
it's that simple. It's that simple. And actually, it's not these men don't want to get married. They don't want to marry you because they're looking at you and they see what kind of women you are. Those kind of men that you want, they don't want you. And that's the bottom line. That's the thing that women don't understand. And that's why they always going over to Pookie, Ray Ray, Chad, and them, because the men that they actually want, they don't qualify for. They don't qualify for those high value men or those good men that are marriage material. They don't qualify, and those men aren't coming around for you. So no, you're right. Those men ain't trying to marry you. They're not trying to. But notice how every single one of these women always have an exit strategy. They always have one foot out the door. How can you make a relationship work if you always have one foot out the door from the get-go? It's never going to work.
If you're talking to a guy and he never wants to marry you, then that's why
I ended my last relationship. I felt like we were together for too long, and I asked him, like, hey, do you foresee us getting married? Do you see us continuing on? And he was like, no. Straight up. No, but it's okay. I'd rather he was be honest.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
At least he told you.
Like, no, for real. And I didn't even take no her by it. And I was just like, okay, baby.
Baby, I love you.
But there's two parts of it.
So you guys are painting a picture of not needing a man, but actually it's a circumstance where it's a specific kind of relationship where the guy doesn't want to marry the woman. Because, I mean, if a guy said, yes, I do want to marry you, then you wouldn't have this perspective of like, I'm not putting a man first, right?
I would never put a man first because even though this is my life. You know what I'm saying? This is my life.
But if you were married...
If I was married, I still wouldn't put my husband first.
Damn!
It's my
Wait
life.
a minute, hold on.
Whoa, hold on a second.
Okay, so this is how I feel. I feel like you should take care of yourself.
How many girls agree with her? Just out of curiosity.
I halfway agree with her.
Okay.
Halfway.
Anybody else agree?
Okay. Because I just feel like that could be why he doesn't want to get married, right? If you're saying like even if we get married, I'm putting myself first and I'm not putting you first.
Duh.
If I was a dude and I heard that, like I would definitely say, okay, then I'm not going to marry you.
It's also about coming together. You know what I'm saying? It's also about a union. And what I'm saying is there's a lot of people. I'm sorry. There's a lot of people nowadays that doesn't understand what a union is.
It's you.
I would argue potentially that you're that person because you just said if we got married, I would still put me first. That's not a union.
First, though? Would a man put his wife first?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, a man puts his wife first. Do you know what it takes for you to convince a man to buy you a ring, get down on one knee and propose to you, and carry the commitment through to a wedding ceremony and to commit to taking care of you and children for the rest of his life? Hell yeah, he puts his woman first.
I'm saying I feel like you should always put yourself first, you know what I'm saying? But when it comes to a guy, you shouldn't put a guy over yourself. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, so I would offer that in a very productive marriage, there is no I versus, it's just we. Like I am in a partnership, a team, me and my husband. The concept of putting me first, even saying that just sounds so crazy to me in a marriage. Like I've never thought it once. It's just, it's us, it's the kids, it's our family. Like I becomes we.
And that's how it's supposed to be. It's a partnership. You are a team. And a lot of these women, and not just women, because it's men too. A lot of young people, because they're coming from single parent homes and they don't know. They've never been taught it. They've never seen it. It's never been modeled for them. A lot of these women don't know. They don't know nothing about that. They just know I got to get it on my own because a man is going to leave me. He's going to leave me for sure. And they don't understand. Maybe he's leaving you because of how you act. Maybe he's leaving you because of how you behave. But not because he's just going to leave for sure. And that's what men do. He's leaving you because of you.
We. And so I would just say, like, maybe when you put that out there to a guy, like then they say, okay, maybe this isn't marriage material because she's telling me that even if I give her everything and I have the potential, then the risk of losing everything, that she still would not make any sacrifices.
That simple.
Do you think your job at all might be impacting how they value you?
Yes and no. I say yes because the second you hear, oh, I'm a sexologist, I'm a dancer, I'm a whatever, I decide to tell you I'm on lifestyles. What do you think? You think escort, or you think she's just a... But me, I have morals, I have values. My career does not define me. I'm a completely different woman.
Oh, but it does. Oh, but it does.
From what I am, from what I work. Me making money has nothing to do with the woman that I am.
Don't you think that what you're willing to do for work does define your value, though? Like you should say, like, these are not my values. I just do this for work. Like,
Absolutely.
you know, I prostitute, but these are not my values. I just do this for work.
Yeah.
No, I'm just giving an example here, right? Like,
okay.
I'm not sure that we can separate that, right?
I can.
Like,
I can.
well, you can, but I'm
Yeah.
saying that I think for men, and I don't want to speak for men, but like you're telling them what you're telling them what your values are.
Yes.
When
You're speaking for men, Candace. Keep on. Go ahead, girl. Candace, you are speaking for men. Go ahead, girl.
Yes.
when you say I do this and I do that and I do this, right? Like if I'm like, they don't think that you're just performing per se.
I'm literally going to show you everything up front. If you have any insecurities about what I do, if you have any questions, I'm like, look, babe, this is literally what I do. That's it. That's it. That's all.
So that would, just so we can run your argument to a totally separate career path. Like if that would be like me saying, I sell crack to children, right? But I tell you that I sell crack to children, so my values aren't checked because I told you that I sell crack to children.
Okay, so
but I'm just saying, how can you separate your values from what you do? Like even that example I just gave you.
It's easy. I can't really explain it. It's just easy. I just don't get lost in that world.
It's easy. I can't explain it. It's so easy that I can't even explain it. Just don't get lost in that world. But it's easy.
Candace, in your opinion, why do you think women resort to OnlyFans when they have other options?
Well, so the first thing I would say is that I do see this trend. That's why I always ask about whether you grew up with a dad, because usually the answer is no. And I think that definitely matters. And they do have other options. I think the problem is that especially when you're young, you just want fast money. And I don't think they realize that they're making, like, it's like, yeah, this is money up front, but is going to cost you when you get older. Like this is like, they're just like seeing Kardashians and Jenners out there like spending with their thing, and they're like, I just want money, and that they're being raised online, and they don't have an example that shows them that like that's just a mirage, and it's going to come at just a severe cost. So it actually breaks my heart when I see young women doing that, because I know what's going to be on the other side of that, you know?
So that's the video. Look, I'm a big Candace Owens fan. I'm a huge Candace Owens fan. I like her message. I like her message to black families. I like her message to young black women and men. Put in the hard work. A lot of people just don't want to put in hard work. Get in the gym, exercise, work hard. Put in the work to create value for yourself and your family. And that is how you succeed. If you like this video, definitely leave your comments below. I'm curious to know what the young ladies think, especially if you do OnlyFans, if you do some porn work or whatever, some sex work. Let me know what you think. How do you feel about this? If you're a dude, let me know how you feel about the women who do this kind of work. For sure, it is not good for society as a whole. We understand that the economy is bad. We understand people need money. But we also understand that in the long term, it is definitely not good for our society, and there will be a price to be paid. So again, leave your comments below. Let us know what you think. For Richie Rich Abroad, it's your boy Richie Rich. I'm so happy to be here and bring you another video. And if you like this video, don't forget there are other videos just like this one and even better. I'm out. Deuces.